Hello, I am Rick Reeser, child development professional and attorney. Bullying, harassment, and intimidation are a serious threat facing Ohio's schools today. Every child is entitled to feel safe in the classroom, in the hallways of school, and on the playground. However, no child can feel safe and learn in an environment where bullying occurs. Bullying is real, and it can happen in any school. The United States Department of Education reports that over 8 million students are bullied each year in American schools. The job of Ohio's teachers and principals is to help students learn and grow, and they cannot do that job in schools where safety is not assured. For example, bullying is twice as likely to cause students to skip school and be absent, as is in-school crime, theft, and attacks. This year, the Franklin County Educational Council is launching Stop That, It Hurts, a series of programs and services to assist principals, teachers, and schools in reducing the amount of harmful student interactions occurring in your classrooms. These include school improvement resources, assemblies, staff development, and specific programs for students who have been identified as bullies or victims. While progress is being made in how schools are responding to the challenge of in-school aggression, there is much work that can be done to ensure that every child can experience a supportive learning environment. To begin, while the term bullying is often used to describe many student behaviors, there is now an emerging definition recognized by educators and professionals. Bullying behaviors are described as words or actions by students that target others with the intent to harm them for the purpose of gaining power over them. Bullying typically describes behaviors where one student or a group of students target another for social gain. The bully's intent is to use harmful words or actions to gain power over the other student. To make their job easier, bullies often select a student who is different in some way, physically, culturally, or in other ways that make them an easy target. In return for bullying the targeted student, other students provide approval for the bully's actions by laughing, joining in, or rewarding him or her with friendship. While all students are affected by bullying, it is important to remember that most children attending schools are focused, ready to learn, and are using healthy, positive ways to interact. However, what we are seeing is that just enough students are using aggressive interactions in our schools that the United States Department of Education has declared bullying a crisis in our education system. Bullying is most often occurring in the mainstream student population, while students with serious mental health issues or those with criminal intentions can and do harm other students. They typically do not act with the same intentions as a bully, or nearly as often. In contrast, a bully's actions are repetitive, seeking peer approval from their harmful actions. Many professionals who are looking closely at the bullying phenomena see this as a socialization issue. More specifically, the behaviors that we're seeing from children are most often mimicking behaviors that they are seeing in the world around them. In other words, bullies bring their learned behaviors to our schools from what they see and experience in our communities. The good news is that while the classroom might not be the cause of learned aggression, it is an excellent place for new, positive social learning to occur. Positive social learning involves simple techniques where students learn how to substitute harmful interaction styles with more positive and less aggressive ways of interacting. Basically, it is defining in real terms what respect for yourself and others means, and then rewarding those behaviors when the students are using them in their day-to-day interactions. It sounds simple. However, teaching children positive pro-social skills is the most effective primary prevention strategy to reduce aggressive behaviors in children and teenagers. By studying schools where students are already choosing healthy interaction styles, or in schools who are successfully reducing bullying behaviors, some form of positive social learning is always present. Positive social learning can be effective at all grade levels, but the interventions are different. For instance, as children get older, they want guided control over the process and need to be creatively engaged to be involved. In kindergarten through third grade, teaching, modeling, and rewarding positive behaviors is extremely important. In fourth and fifth grades, students respond to feedback and discussion as they begin to try on new thoughts and behaviors. Open discussion, including anti-bully or positive learning topics in assignments, also works. And as students enter middle and high school, their worldview is becoming more defined each year. Interventions are less about teaching and more about giving them control to change their school and change their world. Service learning is one example of an effective intervention for middle and high school students. Most important, at all grade levels, it is very important for school personnel to model, recognize, and reward appropriate social behaviors. School efforts can be simple and relatively inexpensive, but they do need to be a planned effort based on best practices. For example, last year, in conjunction with the Ohio Department of Education, we piloted a simple anti-bullying project with a number of elementary and middle schools. 3 measurable behavior goals were established: appreciate yourself, respect others, and no pecking, which was an engagement term for not bullying. The behaviors expected from the students were defined and explained in some detail. Teachers were trained on the goals and a very simple reward system. A school-wide kickoff was held. The goals were posted in classrooms and the hallways. Students were rewarded whenever they interacted in ways consistent with the goals. Then, the results were measured and celebrated. The results from this simple intervention were positive. Participating schools said it made a difference in the amount of negative student interactions and improved their school environment. With a little thought, planning, and effort, any school can reduce the amount of bullying that takes place and help make their school a supportive learning environment. School districts and schools are required to train teachers on Ohio's anti-bullying legal requirements, including the district's policies. First, Ohio law requires that all public school districts adopt policies prohibiting harassment, intimidation, and bullying. The law outlines a specific definition for these negative behaviors and requires that districts adopt procedures for documenting, investigating, and reporting complaints. The model policy adds a definition of cyberbullying as repetitive, hostile behaviors with the intent to harm others through the use of information and communication technologies such as websites, instant messages, camera phones, or iPods. If school personnel or even parents observe bullying or are told about such incidents by others, staff and parents are to report and document prohibited incidents they witness to the school principal or other designated administrator. Additionally, building principals are to respond to and investigate any incident of bullying that is reported, document the incident in writing, and notify parents or guardians of any students involved in such occurrences. A school's responsibilities also include using intervention strategies for protecting victims from additional harassment or retaliation, and employing interventions or disciplinary procedures for any guilty students. Finally, school districts are required to submit semi-annual written summaries of all reported incidents to the district board president and post the summary on the district's website. The district is to collect and monitor the data. When bullying occurs, training and intervention activities should be scheduled as funds allow. It is important to note that the Ohio law and the Ohio Department of Education's model policy contain additional information regarding anti-bullying requirements. Each school district's policies should be followed as well. Most importantly, schools should remember that the best strategy against bullying is to be proactive. This includes making positive social learning a part of your school culture, modeling appropriate behaviors, and responding to suspected bullying situations in a timely manner. We hope that the Franklin County Educational Council will continue to be a part of your school's effort to stop bullying and improve your school's learning environment. For more information, see our list of Stop That, It Hurts resources at the Educational Council's website, edcouncil.org.